Here we go. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Trustee of Trust Funds meeting for September 17th, 2021. I'm Chris Christensen, Chairman. To my far left, if you want to introduce yourselves as we go around.
Sure. Tom Bolin, Finance Director for the town.
Bill Wilkes, Trustee.
And to my right.
Pat Heinrich, also a trustee.
And the first order of business was the open seat, which is no longer open. We're pleased to welcome Pat Heinrich as our newest trustee. We need to get you into the communication loop for everything, so if you would send me an email with phone number, home mail address, email address, that type of stuff. And the address is trustfunds@merrickmacnh.gov. And you don't usually get a lot of mail at home, but we do get bank statements and the like once a month. And let me just double check on that. I got Tom's that came here. I did not get a set at home this month. Did you, Bill?
Yes.
Huh. Okay, well, we'll have to check on that. And obviously you didn't get one, but we hope you'll start getting them next month. And there's probably a group of things that you will need. Our investment policy is on the trustees' website, and reports from previous years and so forth. We haven't finished this year's report, so the report for the period ending June 30th is not posted on the website yet, but probably will be within a week or two. But the rest of it we pretty much mail out as emails prior to the meeting, so you have a chance to look at everything, but there's no big trick to getting in here to do anything. So, the minutes of August 20th.
The motion we accept those minutes as written with the corrections.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple of typos that will be fixed. Anything else?
Nope.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Abstain.
201. Okay. Tom, do we have anything from the auditors?
We do not. They are continuing to go through the audit back at their office. They're no longer here at Town Hall, but I have not received any additional requests for information with regard to the trustee stuff. So I guess I always, in that case, think no news is good news.
Okay. And I won't put it on the agenda anymore unless you have something that they come up with.
Sounds good.
I don't have anything grand under portfolio review, but I think we want to schedule two things, this kind of discussion on this. With Cambridge Trust, they would normally come in November. I'm thinking that may not be necessary for Judith to come to this meeting next month, but you might want, and I'll put you in touch with her, you might want to talk to Cambridge Trust and just get a feeling for what they do and how they relate to us. Essentially, they manage all the funds. As you know, capital reserve funds are restricted in what they can be invested in. The investment policy controls what they do with our permanent funds, which are mostly invested in equities and some fixed income type vehicles. And there's not a lot of trading. We're dividend income focused, because in order for us to give out money that we're supposed to give out, we have to have income. So the feeling is if we had invested in growth only, we'd have this big fund but nothing to spend. So that's the sense of direction for that. And you'll get monthly statements that show what the holdings are, any activity, dividends received, anything bought and sold, that type of stuff. Just like anybody else's statements. I did notice, just for future look-see when you get your statements, the scholarship fund has a large holding in fixed income, I think it's a Fidelity account actually, that yields about 1.2%. And then we have a couple of smaller fixed income holdings that are holding 3%. And I'm feeling like if we think these are good enough to yield 3% or even 2.5%, then why do we have this other huge holding, relatively speaking? And it may be a risk factor, but it's something I want to check with them. And other than that, I don't really have anything. We've got good
Yeah,
stuff.
I'm wondering how they can get that kind of yield without incurring quite a bit of risk.
Well, that's exactly the point, but sometimes they've got something that is adequate in
I mean,
terms
could
of
it-
risk, but not.
Is it preferreds maybe, or?
No, I think it's. Well, I don't have the statement in front of me, so I can't tell you right now. Not critical, just something when you get home or when you're looking at the statements. It's in under the scholarship fund. I think the other funds, we haven't done any trading in the last month. And we're just a shade under 3% return, which is probably 2.25% net. Do you have any questions about the portfolio or anything? I know it's
Not having seen it.
not having seen it, okay.
Yeah.
All right, it's the holdings are listed in the, excuse me, in the MS-10 report that is on the website.
Okay.
So there's two reports, MS-9 that lists the funds. So the Patterson Fund for the library, for example, and it'll say how much money is in that fund, how much of it's income, so on and so forth. But then how do you get there is, well, we hold these stocks or fixed income vehicles that are listed in the MS-10. And so we have a common fund where everything goes into the common fund to be invested, and then it's proportioned out according to the size of the MS-9. It all makes sense. All makes sense about 2 years after you start looking at it. State reporting forms.
Some of it doesn't make any sense, but
We have a new cemetery location / plot spreadsheet. If you remember in the past, we used to have them all lined up when we were doing Fund A, B, and C, lined up by which cemetery they were in. And somehow when we got into the new state reporting forms, they got scattered all over the place. So Lisa has reorganized that report so that all of the last restaurants are grouped, and then Reed's Ferry and so forth. And I emailed that to you, and I emailed a copy to Tom, I think, and to Tom Koenig, since we're supposed to report to the town council on the individual cemetery plots. So I don't know if you looked at it, Tom, or had any feedback. I have not had any feedback from anybody.
I
Yeah.
looked at it.
Yeah, I glanced at it. It seems it's an improvement over
It's pretty dead material, huh?
what it, was an improvement over what it looked like last year, so.
Yeah.
that's good.
Well,
There's still a lot of columns and a lot of information,
Mm.
so,
well, there's a lot of columns that have no information,
yeah.
so that's,
I mean, if you go all the way to the right, though, you can kind of figure out each line item, what they have in there as a total amount, so. If you don't get lost in the forest for the trees, you can figure it out.
This is that, the scholarship fixed income holdings, if you're curious.
oh. Okay, thanks, Tom. You wanna just read that out to us, Tom, Bill?
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and they have a Fidelity Intermediate Term Bond Fund. Looks like it has a market value of $51,700 with a yield of 1.86%. They have an MFS Emerging. I'm not sure what MFS.
Massachusetts Financial Services.
Okay, maybe. Emerging Markets Debt Fund with a balance of $2,141.94, a yield of 3.97%. And the Osterwise Strategic Income Fund with the balance of $3,411.96 with a yield of 3.85%. And then the last holding is T. Rowe Price Institutional Floating Rate Fund with $2,954.01 with a yield of 4.06%. So there's some definitely higher yielding funds there. They have fairly small amounts of money in them.
Right.
The biggest fund is the Fidelity
Fidelity.
Intermediate Bond Fund and that's only yielding 1.86.
Well, that was why it kind of caught my eye.
Something to
But-
ask them, it's something to ask them about,
Yeah,
because obviously if we can get more yield, that would be our desire, but we need to understand the risk.
yeah, emerging markets is
Profile.
always a kind of an eye opener.
I don't necessarily wanna, influence them too much, because then they make a trade and, they haven't considered, they think we just wanna make the trade, not necessarily thinking about the risk.
Exactly. Okay, I don't have any more on the cemetery thing. It was just informational, and if we don't have any feedback from the town council, then I'll have Lisa Taranjo, who makes the thing up, kind of finalize that. So, correspondence. We have requests from the MVD for money related to the treatment plant in, on wells 4 and 5. Excuse me here. Each of which has, these are, well, I think I emailed, you haven't seen it in the email yet, but here's the request letters. I need these back. The first one is for engineering, $106,421 even. The next one is for some treatment plant. These are all coming from the Equipment Facilities Fund, and they're all related to wells 4 and 5. So the next one is for $108,860 even, and then one for $600,929.91. So I think we can. This information was forwarded to the Cambridge Trust last June when we first received it. It came in after our June meeting. And so we just need to approve it now. And if anybody has any questions, then we'll discuss the questions. If not, take a motion to approve.
I just have one question.
Sure.
Which is how much money is in this fund that you're taking $1 million out of?
They have about 5 million in,
That's all I needed to know.
it's all capital reserve funds.
Yes.
And they have about 5.5 million in capital reserve funds total, but a couple of them are only $100,000 each, so the land purchase fund has, I think, $1 million,
What
and
was the grand
this one
total
has, I think, 3.
of those requests?
What?
Do you have the grand total there?
That's what I was, it's over $1 million. I was gonna, 106,421.
I think it's actually less than $1 million, but
It's close.
it's about 900.
Yeah.
And 91 cents.
I lost the last number, Chris, so I couldn't add it exactly.
Oh, I'm sorry. 600,929.91. Motion, anybody?
I get 905, 110,000. And 91 cents.
Okay.
If that's, and that's a quick add, so by all
Okay.
means, double check, please.
Let me just, I believe you, but let me just
Oh, no,
do it on-
I want
do
confirmation.
it on my calculator.
Thank you. Actually, it's 210.
I got 8/16/2/10/91.
Okay, there's $100,000 apart there.
Yeah, it's, I'm sure he's right, because I was just doing it in my head.
I would motion we approve the request from the MVD for well 4 and 5 projects in the sum of $816,210.91.
And I'll second that for you.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries 300. I also had, it's not listed on the agenda yet, but it comes under correspondence. It just came in late yesterday. A confirmation from Cambridge Trust that Michelle Holton has asked for access to the website so she can see the MVD activity. And I didn't want to approve that by myself, so I'm just asking if by consensus there's any discussion or questions or problems with that. She usually gets, I'm emailing MS9 to her every month. The website would also give the information on the actual holdings and maturity dates and so forth.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, Pat?
What does that mean, access to the website?
We get paper statements,
Right,
but those are also available online.
right. So why does she need our permission to go online and look at something on our
Because
website?
it's a password-protected website.
It's actually on the Cambridge Trust website.
It's the Cambridge okay,
Yeah.
that's,
She
All
can't
right.
do anything. She can
Right.
only
Okay.
view only.
Right.
I was thinking the Merrimack, Town of Merrimack website you're talking
Oh.
about, not the Cambridge Trust
No, this is
website.
Cambridge Trust website.
Okay, all right, thank you.
guess the next thing is to confirm that we have a meeting for October 22nd and one for November 19th.
I'm gonna be out of town on the 22nd. I could do it probably, well, I would prefer not to do that date, but if you have to do that date, I'd have to do it remotely.
Okay. Excuse me. The alternatives would normally be either the 15th or the 29th. I can't do the 15th.
I can do the 29th.
Pat, any preference?
That's fine, that's fine. All good. 29th works for me.
Happy Halloween.
What about the 19th? Is that too close? When is Thanksgiving this year?
25th of November,
25th?
yes.
25th?
Well, 19th is the third week. We normally try to schedule them for a time after we have most likely received the most recent bank statements.
I mean, I'm fine with the 19th.
That's fine.
And that would probably be the time that Cambridge Trust would come and give us a semi-annual report.
That's fine.
Don't think we have any other business unless somebody
I'll get it.
unless somebody else has some. Anything else that might properly come before us?
I am good.
I have one item that doesn't necessarily make our choice, but we can have some input. In the process of filling the vacant seat, Pat applied and was appointed, that's fine. We have one other applicant that came in after that appointment had already been made, and we do within the law, within the RSAs, have an opportunity for an alternate member. We've never had an alternate, but I think it might be a good idea as long as we have somebody who's at least willing to go through the interview process and be our backup. Normally on other committees, the alternate sits with the committee, participates in discussions, but does not vote unless they are voting instead of somebody who is either absent or recuses themselves on a particular issue. So I think it's probably a good idea to do that, and maybe we're a little more sensitive this year, having lost somebody unexpectedly, but any thoughts from anybody?
I think it'd be great to have an alternate.
I
Kind of
agree.
gives us, like you said, a backup, and, you know, after Jack unexpectedly passed away, we didn't have an odd number, so we were voting on things, without an odd number to break a tie and that sort of thing. So I think it would be a good idea.
Pat, any input?
It's a training ground, as far as I'm concerned, somebody that learns, that doesn't walk in cold with no background.
Okay. One last motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor, 3-0-0.
Aye.